Hello students, welcome to the sixth and last lecture of magnetism, and today we will discuss different type of magnetic materials and their properties. So let us start the lecture. Our first point is intensity of magnetizing field, or it is known as magnetizing force. Its name is force, but it is not a force. It represents external magnetic field. Remember, it is not a force. It is not a magnetic field. It represents the main part of the magnetic field, right? Magnetizing force. This magnetizing force tells us about the actual current which magnetize the material. To magnetize any material, we need external magnetic field, and this H represents that external magnetic field, right? So let us suppose we have an iron bar and we want to magnetize this iron bar, right? To magnetize any material, we need some external magnetic field, and this external magnetic field is magnetic field produced by a solenoid. So when we pass current I through the solenoid, then this solenoid will create a magnetic field mu naught into N into I, right? And N is number of turns per unit length. I is the current that is flowing through the solenoid. This external field is applied on this iron bar to magnetize it, right? And the important part of this external magnetic field is N into I. When we change the value of N, field will change. When we change the value of current, field will change. So this is the main part of external magnetic field, and this part is known as magnetizing force, field due to actual currents, right? So this N into I represents external magnetic field B, and for air its value is B naught divided by mu naught. B naught is magnetic field in air. Mu naught is permeability of free space, and H is equal to N into I. Its unit is ampere per meter. Its unit is ampere per meter SI unit. If the system is present in a medium, then the value of magnetizing force will be equal to B medium divided by mu. Mu is permeability of medium, and its ratio is again same N into I, because H is independent of the medium, right? There will be change in magnetic field as well as there is change in mu, so ratio will remain same. H is the main part of external magnetic field that is used to magnetize a material, and that main part is number of turns per unit length into current. Now the second point. Second point is intensity of magnetization, capital I. This is intensity of magnetizing field related with field, and this is intensity of magnetization, capital I. It represents magnetism induced in the material, right? So this intensity of magnetization tells us about the magnetism that is induced inside this iron when we place this material in external magnetic field. This iron will have its own magnetism, right? And this I represents that magnetism. Its value is magnetic moment per unit volume. So this iron bar is now magnetized. So it will work as a magnet, north pole, south pole, and because it is a magnet now, it will have some magnetic moment also. So magnetic moment divided by volume is intensity of magnetization. More the magnetic moment, that means stronger is the magnet, right? This magnet is stronger if magnetic moment is high. So magnetic moment divided by volume is known as intensity of magnetization. Magnetic moment is pole strength into length. Volume is area into length. Length will cancel out. So it is pole strength per unit area, that is intensity of magnetization. So intensity of magnetization tells us about the magnetism produced by the material, its own magnetic field. But H tells us external magnetic field. I tells us the magnetic field produced by material. H tells us the magnetic field produced by external device. Here the induced magnetic field is equal to mu naught into I. The magnetic field produced by the material is equal to mu naught into I. Both are similar thing. One is telling us about the external magnetic field, other tells us about the material magnetic field. Both are having same unit, ampere per meter, and in CGS system we have one more unit, that is Oersted, represented by OE, and the relation is 1 ampere per meter is 4 pi into 10 raised to power minus 3 Oersted, right? Third point is magnetic susceptibility, and it is represented by symbol chi. It is ratio of I by H. What is I? It is the magnetism induced in the material. What is H? It is external magnetism produced by solenoid or any other device. Both are having same units, so unitless and dimensionless. It is a scalar quantity. Susceptibility of the material tells us about the nature of the material. If susceptibility is large for a material, means we can easily magnetize that material. If susceptibility is less, that means it is difficult to magnetize that material. Next point is magnetic permeability mu. Mu for a medium, that is permeability of a medium, is equal to total magnetic field inside the medium divided by magnetizing force H. What is relative permeability? Relative means with respect to air. Relative means with respect to air. We are comparing with respect to air. So relative permeability is total magnetic field inside the medium divided by magnetic field in the air. So it is relative to air. And if you put the value of total magnetic field, it is mu into H, and the air magnetic field is mu naught into H. Permeability of air, mu naught into H, H will cancel out, so it is mu divided by mu naught. So relative permeability is mu divided by mu naught. Now let us find out the relation between the different terms. Let us suppose we are magnetizing this material which is inside a solenoid, and solenoid is producing magnetic field B naught, that is external magnetic field, and its value is mu naught Ni. External magnetic field and its value is mu naught Ni, where Ni is H, right? So after some time the material will gain some magnetism, right? It will have its own magnetism. That value is B induced, that is the magnetic field induced in the material. So what is the total magnetic field inside the material? Total magnetic field inside the material is magnetic field due to solenoid plus its own magnetic field. So total magnetic field in the medium is induced its own magnetic field plus external is solenoid magnetic field, right? So B induced is mu naught into I, because the induced magnetic field depends on intensity of magnetization, mu naught into I. So this value is mu naught into I, external or B naught is mu naught into H. If you add them, take mu naught common, this value is total magnetic field inside the medium. Replace B medium with mu into H, right? Take mu naught common and shift this mu naught in denominator. So mu divided by mu naught, this H in denominator, I by H plus 1. I by H is susceptibility and mu by mu naught is relative permeability, right? It is relative permeability. So it is mu r is equal to 1 plus chi, very important formula for magnetism, right? Numericals are based on this small formula. Mu r is equal to susceptibility plus 1. Got it? Now let us see some numericals related with the previous point. First numerical, we have an iron rod, area is given to you, and it is subjected to magnetizing field 1000. What is magnetizing field? See the unit, it is ampere per meter, so it is H, not B. It is ampere per meter, not Tesla, so it is H. We have to calculate magnetic permeability. They are not saying relative permeability. They are not asking mu r. They are asking mu, permeability of medium. We know this relation, mu r is equal to 1 plus chi. Right? Susceptibility is given to you. In the question it is given 599. You can calculate mu r. So 599 plus 1, 600. So relative permeability is mu r, and we know mu r is equal to mu divided by mu naught. So mu we have to find out, mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. Mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to power minus 7. Mu r already calculated here, 600. Put the value, solve it, this is the answer. Got it? Second question. An iron bar of length is given to you, so we have length, we have diameter, that means radius is 1 centimeter. It is placed in a magnetic field of intensity. Again, see the unit. It is placed in a magnetic field of intensity, that is external magnetic field, and unit is ampere per meter, so it is not B, it is H. Because it is external magnetic field, so it is H, not capital I. It is H along its length in the direction, and mu is given to you this time. Right? What they are asking? Find magnetic moment. So we have to find out magnetic moment. Mu is given to you, H is given to you. Normally for a magnet, magnetic moment is pole strength into length. But we don't have pole strength here. Right? So we have to use magnetic formula. Magnetic formula is intensity of magnetization is equal to magnetic moment divided by volume. So from this formula we can calculate magnetic moment. Intensity of magnetization we can calculate, volume we can calculate. So magnetic moment we can calculate by using this formula. So magnetic moment is I, intensity of magnetization, into V, volume. Right? We don't know the value of I. So first thing we have to calculate is intensity of magnetization. Intensity of magnetization is related with susceptibility. Chi is equal to I by H. Susceptibility is equal to I by H. So I is susceptibility into H. Right? Susceptibility we can find out by using this formula. Mu r is equal to 1 plus chi. So first thing is H is given to you, susceptibility is not given to you. So first thing, let us calculate susceptibility. Susceptibility is mu r is equal to 1 plus chi. So mu r is mu by mu naught. Previous case, mu by mu naught. Mu is given to you. Put the value of mu naught. So mu by mu naught minus 1. Shift this one this side. You will get susceptibility as 500.6. Susceptibility is not having any unit, so it is only a number, 500.6. If you know the susceptibility, you can calculate intensity of magnetization also. That is 500.6 into the given value of H, 1000. Right? So approximately it is 5 into 10 raised to power 5 ampere per meter. This is intensity of magnetization, and from intensity of magnetization I can calculate magnetic moment also. So magnetic moment is I into V. We already know the value of intensity of magnetization. Volume is area of cross section into length. Area of cross section, radius 1 centimeter, so pi into 1 centimeter converted into meter 0.01 whole square into length is 10 centimeter converted into meter 0.1. Solve it and calculate the value of magnetic moment. Got my point? One more problem. Find the percentage increase in magnetic field B when the space within the current carrying coil is filled with aluminium. That means when we place some medium, then what is the percentage increase in magnetic field? This is the problem. Susceptibility of aluminium is given to you. So without any medium, the magnetic field is air magnetic field, that is mu naught into H. B naught is air magnetic field, that is mu naught into H. If you put medium, then it becomes mu into H because permeability will change. Now we have to put permeability of medium. Here it is permeability of free space or air. H is independent of medium. Right? So what is mu? Susceptibility is given to you. So use this formula. Mu r is equal to 1 plus chi, and mu r is mu by mu naught, and mu is mu naught into 1 plus chi. So we have the value of mu. Put the value here. So the magnetic field, when we put aluminium inside the coil, then its value is mu naught 1 plus chi into H. That is the magnetic field when medium is present. Now question is percentage change, percentage increase. What is percentage increase? It's change divided by original into 100%. Change is final minus initial divided by initial. Final is this. Put the value here. Initial magnetic field is this, mu naught into H. Solve it. This is also initial. When you solve it, mu naught into H will cancel out. We will get this mu naught, H will also cancel out. So finally we will get chi into 100%. Susceptibility is given to you. Put it here. Multiplied by 100. So final answer is 2.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3%. Got this? Next topic. Magnetic properties of materials. According to the modern electron theory of magnetism, materials exhibit magnetic property due to spin or orbital motion of their rotating electrons. Here the circulating electrons create magnetic property, right? We have three different type of magnetic materials. Diamagnetic materials, which shows diamagnetism property. Paramagnetic materials, which shows paramagnetism property. Ferromagnetic materials, which shows ferromagnetism property. First, let us discuss diamagnetism. Substance having paired electron behave as diamagnet. Here, materials having paired electrons in their atoms shows diamagnetism property, and because almost each and every atom have paired electrons, so this property is a universal property shown by all the atoms. Here, orbital motion of the electrons affected by the external magnetic field. When you apply external magnetic field, then orbital motion of the electrons will change slightly. Let us understand diamagnetism property with the help of these diagrams. We already know this property is shown by the materials having paired electrons. So these are a pair of electrons, right? Their rotating sense is opposite. One is rotating clockwise, other is rotating anti-clockwise. Because of motion of electrons, there will be current, and due to that current there will be a magnetic moment. Because of opposite direction, their magnetic moments are also in opposite direction, and they will cancel out each other, and this magnetic moment is already calculated in magnetic effect of current chapter, right? So there is no magnetic field on this material, and the net magnetic moment of the material is zero. That means there is no magnetism inside the material. Now if we place this material in external magnetic field, downward magnetic field, then the magnetic moment which is in same direction will decrease by a small amount, and the magnetic moment which is in opposite direction, opposite to magnetic field, will increase by a small amount. If you add these two, then the net magnetic moment created by this material is in opposite direction and its value is small. 2 into delta m is very small. So magnetic moment created by this material is in opposite direction to external magnetic field. So this material produces a small magnetism in direction opposite to the external magnetic field. So whenever we apply magnetic field on a diamagnetic material, right, this is a diamagnetic material and magnetic field is applied in right side, external magnetic field, then this material will magnetize in opposite direction. So net magnetic moment will be in opposite direction. So this end will work as north pole and this end will work as south pole. So this type of material will magnetize in opposite direction whenever we place it in external magnetic field, right? Next is Meissner effect. At very low temperature, superconductors exhibit perfect diamagnetism, right? They behave as a perfect diamagnetic material at low temperature. In this state, the magnetic field inside the material is zero. If magnetic field, net magnetic field is zero, that means mu r is zero, because what is mu r? Mu r is total magnetic field inside the medium divided by magnetic field in air. So if total magnetic field inside the medium is zero, so mu r is zero. If mu r is zero, then mu r is 1 plus chi. It is 1 plus chi. So if mu r is zero, then susceptibility will be -1. This phenomena of perfect diamagnetism in superconductor is known as Meissner effect, and in this state, because the material is oppositely magnetized, so this material will repel the magnetic lines of force. So the net magnetic field inside the material is zero. These lines are representing net magnetic field, right? Because the magnetic field created by diamagnetic material is in opposite sense, so this material will repel the external magnetic field, and the net magnetic field inside the material is zero, because external and the magnetic field created by this material will cancel out. So net magnetic field inside is zero. So we are not representing any lines inside the material. Why? Because the net magnetic field is zero. So the resultant magnetic field will look like in this way, right? This effect is known as Meissner effect. Now let us see some examples. Diamagnetic substances. Bismuth is an example. Zinc, copper, silver, gold, salt, NaCl, water, hydrogen, lead, silicon, nitrogen at STP. All these are examples of diamagnetic substances. They magnetize slightly in opposite direction. For perfect diamagnetism, there will be zero magnetic field in the material. Got it? Let us see properties of diamagnetic substances. First property is the basic nature of diamagnetic substances. When you place the material in external magnetic field, it will magnetize in opposite direction. That is the basic nature of diamagnetic substance. Second property, when released in magnetic field, it moves perpendicular to the magnetic field. Because it is oppositely magnetized, so it always try to move in direction perpendicular to the external magnetic field. So when I release a diamagnetic substance here, it will move along the perpendicular direction to the magnetic field. Third point, magnetic field lines become less dense inside the material when placed in external magnetic field. Here, magnetic field inside the material will be less. Reason? Because the magnetism inside the material is opposite to external magnetic field. It is in left direction and external magnetic field is in right direction. Net magnetic field inside the material will be less. Subtraction of the two magnetic fields. That is why there are less number of lines inside the material because of opposite magnetization. Fourth point, diamagnetic material try to move from stronger magnetic field to weaker magnetic field because it is oppositely magnetized. Let us take this example. We have diamagnetic material in liquid form and it is placed between the two poles. Here we have denser magnetic field, higher value of magnetic field. So this liquid, diamagnetic liquid, will try to move in perpendicular direction. In perpendicular direction to move towards weaker magnetic field. Right? So level will decrease and this side level will increase. Second example, if we place diamagnetic material near the poles, at poles magnetic field is maximum, stronger. So at poles magnetic field is stronger, so this material will try to move away from stronger magnetic field and it will come exactly in the middle of the two where magnetic field is minimum and it will spread perpendicular to the magnetic lines of force. Right? Fifth property, when we place this type of material in external magnetic field B0 or you can say magnetizing force H, then this material will magnetize in opposite direction. But the intensity of magnetization of this type of material is very small. Remember, it is 2 into delta M. Right? So this intensity is very small. So this type of material is slightly magnetized in opposite direction. So the value of I is opposite to H. I is very small and its direction is opposite to H. But amount of I is directly proportional to H. This is the graph. When we increase the value of external magnetizing force, then intensity of magnetization will also increase but in negative direction. So when we put this material in external magnetic field, this material will weakly magnetize in opposite direction. Direction is opposite, that is why it is in negative side. Now sixth point, susceptibility is what? I by H. I is small and negative, right? So ratio will be very small because I is small and ratio will be negative also because it is magnetized in opposite direction. So susceptibility is very small for diamagnetic materials and its value is approximately minus 10 raised to power minus 5. And susceptibility is independent of temperature. When we increase the temperature, susceptibility remain unchanged, right? Seventh, origin of diamagnetism is due to the change in orbital motion of electrons, already seen in the last point, that when we apply some external magnetic field, then one magnetic moment in the direction of magnetic field decreases and the other magnetic moment opposite to magnetic field increases. So diamagnetism is property due to change in orbital motion of electrons when we apply some external magnetic field, right? Second property is paramagnetism. Substances having unpaired electron behave as paramagnets. So here the condition is unpaired electrons, whereas the condition in diamagnetic material is paired electrons. So in this paramagnetic material we have only one electron, right? Unpaired electron that will create individual magnetic moment. So in this type of material, each and every atom will have its own magnetic moment. That magnetic moment is known as atomic magnets, right? So unpaired electrons will create magnetic moments, and these magnetic moments are atomic magnets. In the absence of magnetic field, these atomic magnets are randomly arranged due to the thermal energy, right? Due to the thermal energy, there is no specific direction of these magnets, atomic magnets. So net magnetic moment due to this complete system of magnets or dipoles will be equal to 0. If we place this material in external magnetic field, then all the individual atomic magnets due to unpaired electrons will align themselves in the direction of magnetic moment, and we will get a net magnetic moment that is non-zero in the direction of external magnetic field. But the value of magnetic moment will be weak. Substances possesses weak resultant magnetic moment if applied field is withdrawn. If we remove this external magnetic field, these atomic magnets will change its direction, and again net magnetic moment will be equal to 0. So completely demagnetize due to deorientation produced by the thermal energy. And this behavior of these type of material is known as paramagnetism. Got it? Now properties of paramagnetic substances. First property is the basic point from paramagnetic substance. It acquires small magnetism in the direction of magnetic field. This type of material will magnetize in the same direction of magnetic field. Examples are aluminium, platinum, manganese and oxygen, etc. Second point, the substance remain in the direction of magnetic field, whereas the diamagnetic, it moves perpendicular to the magnetic field, but this substance, paramagnetic substance, remain in the direction of magnetic field, and this type of material will pull the magnetic lines of force slightly, whereas diamagnetic will push the magnetic lines of force. This type of material will pull the magnetic lines of force. So you can see here the material is in the direction of magnetic field, and magnetic field inside the medium is slightly more as compared to surrounding. So inside magnetic field is more. So what is mu? Mu is medium magnetic field divided by H. The value of permeability is greater than 1 for paramagnetic substances. Third point, this substance try to move from weaker magnetic field to stronger magnetic field. When you release this liquid material, paramagnetic material, then this material will try to move between the poles. Why? Because between the poles magnetic field is stronger, so the level will increase and here level will decrease. Similarly, if you release this paramagnetic material between the two poles, then this material will shift towards the pole. Why? Because towards the pole magnetic field is stronger. Got my point? Fourth property is whenever we place this paramagnetic material in the direction of magnetic field, then the material will magnetize in the same direction but with a very small amount. So intensity of magnetization that is produced inside the material will be small, very small, and will be positive because it is in the same direction of external magnetic field. And the intensity of magnetization is directly proportional to H. As we increase the value of external magnetic field, automatically the intensity of magnetization will also increase, but with small amount. Fifth point, susceptibility, we know it is I by H ratio. Because I is small but it is positive, so susceptibility is also small and positive. For diamagnetic, it is negative and small. Here it is positive and its value is approximately 10 raised to power minus 5 positive. Susceptibility of paramagnetic substances inversely proportional to absolute temperature. This is known as Curie law, important law for paramagnetic materials. Susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. If you remove the proportionality sign, you will get a C that is known as Curie constant C. And this relation is Curie law. So, whenever we increase the temperature for paramagnetic substance, the magnetism inside the material or susceptibility or magnetism inside the material will start decreasing, right? If the temperature is very high, then magnetism inside the material will vanish. These are the two graphs. As we increase the temperature, susceptibility will increase. If we draw 1 by susceptibility with temperature, as we increase the temperature, susceptibility decreases and inverse of susceptibility increases. Got my point? Third and last magnetic property, ferromagnetism. To understand this property, let us discuss domain theory first. Like paramagnetic substances, ferromagnetic substances also have unpaired electrons. So they also have atomic magnets or atomic magnetic moments. But there is strong interaction between the neighboring atoms. That is exchange interaction. Unpaired electron of one atom interacts strongly with unpaired electron of neighboring atom. There is strong interaction between two or more neighboring atoms and they align themselves in a common direction over a small volume of material, right? They align themselves in a common direction over a small volume of material, and this small volume is known as a domain, and this is representing number of domains. So we have different domains, and in each domain we have group of dipoles or atomic magnets, right? They are in same direction, but in the absence of magnetic field, the net magnetic moment produced by the number of domains is equal to 0 because they are randomly arranged due to thermal energy, right? So when we apply this magnetic field on this ferromagnetic material, then all the domains will align themselves in the same direction, right? And we will get a strong magnetic moment because these are in groups. So we will get a strong magnetic moment in the direction of magnetic field. When all the domains are oriented parallel to the field, then this stage is known as saturation limit. So when all the domains are in same direction, in the direction of magnetic field, then this state is saturation limit, right? And this nature of matter is known as ferromagnetism. Got my point? Now let us discuss the properties of ferromagnetic substances. First property is the basic nature of ferromagnetic material. They strongly magnetize in the direction of external magnetic field, and the reason is domains. We can divide ferromagnetic materials into two parts. If the magnetization remain even after removal of external magnetic field, then these type of materials are known as hard ferromagnets, and the example is lodestone, basic iron ore. Second type is if magnetization disappear on removal of external magnetic field, then these type of materials are known as soft ferromagnets, and example is soft iron. If magnetic field remain in the material after removal of magnetic field, then hard. If it disappear, then it is soft ferromagnetic material. Second point, these materials strongly attract the magnets. Why? Because they magnetize strongly in the direction of magnetic field. Third point, they align itself in the direction of magnetic field. These materials pull external magnetic lines of force strongly. So these type of material align themselves in external magnetic field and they pull external magnetic lines of force through it, and you can see in this diagram the surrounding magnetic lines of force are passing through the material. Why? Because this material is having a property to pull external magnetic lines of force and it creates a strong magnetic field inside it. So medium magnetic field is very, very large. If inside magnetic field is very, very large, then the value of mu will be very, very high. So permeability for these type of material is also large. Or you can say mu r, relative permeability, is also high. Why? Because permeability is mu naught into mu r. So if mu is high, then automatically relative permeability will be high. Fourth point, these materials move from weaker magnetic field to stronger magnetic field. If you release this material in a magnetic field, then they will move from weaker magnetic field to stronger magnetic field, right? Fifth property, when we place this ferromagnetic material in external magnetic field, then this material will magnetize in the direction of magnetic field with very, very large amount. That means the intensity of magnetization produced in the material is very, very high, very, very large value. Direction is same, so intensity of magnetization is positive and having very large value. You can see in this diagram the relation is not linear here. When we increase the external magnetizing force or magnetic field, the intensity of magnetization inside the material will increase suddenly and become saturate, right? The relation is not linear, whereas in the previous two, diamagnetic and ferromagnetic, relation was linear, but here it is non-linear. Sixth point, susceptibility is I by H and value of I is very large. So susceptibility is also having large value as well as positive sign. Susceptibility of ferromagnetic substance decreases above a certain temperature. That temperature is called Curie temperature. Very, very important point. Susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature, but after a particular temperature, after a certain temperature, and that temperature is known as Curie temperature, and the relation is chi is equal to C divided by T minus Tc. This Tc is Curie temperature. So susceptibility will decrease for ferromagnetic substance only after Curie temperature, and this relation is known as Curie-Weiss law, right? Very important law, and the definition is also important. What is Curie temperature? Curie temperature is the temperature above which ferromagnetic substance behave like a paramagnetic substance, because this graph is for paramagnetic, and for ferromagnetic the same graph is there but after a particular temperature, Curie temperature. So this is the temperature above which ferromagnetic materials behave as paramagnetic materials, right? So chi and temperature relation is this. Inverse of susceptibility and temperature will be reverse relation. It will increase. As we increase the temperature, susceptibility will decrease, then the inverse value will increase, right? Now let us see some examples of ferromagnetic materials. First example is iron, nickel, cobalt, magnetite, that is Fe3O4. One alloy is also there, alnico, that is iron, aluminium, nickel and cobalt, right? You have to remember these examples and this law. Got my point? Now let us compare the three different type of materials: diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic material. How to remember the difference between them? Because this difference table is very important for this chapter, right? You can assume these are three brothers. The younger one is diamagnetic and the elder one is ferromagnetic. Younger one is always naughty. So this diamagnetic material is naughty and its behavior is completely opposite. Elder one is ferromagnetic, sincere, right? Its behavior will be always in right direction and will be strong. But the behavior of diamagnetic is always opposite and will be weak. This is the middle one. So its behavior is similar to ferromagnetic material but little bit less. So weak behavior by paramagnetic material in direction of ferromagnetic but will be weak. So let us see. Weakly magnetized in opposite direction of magnetic field. We know it is magnetized in opposite direction but weakly. This weakly magnetized in correct direction, in the direction of magnetic field. Third one, ferromagnetic, strongly magnetized in the direction of magnetic field because ferromagnetic is elder one and its behavior is in correct direction and strong behavior. Second one, diamagnetic material will come to rest in direction to perpendicular to magnetic field. Paramagnetic will come to rest in the direction of magnetic field. Ferromagnetic substance also align itself in the direction of magnetic field but it is quicker than the paramagnetic substance. Third one, the value of intensity of magnetization is negative and small, weakly magnetized in opposite direction. So negative and small. As we increase the external magnetic field or magnetizing force, the value of magnetization increases but in opposite direction, negative. Intensity of magnetization is directly proportional to magnetizing force. And because the inside magnetic field of the material is less, so mu r is less than 1 here. Intensity of magnetization is positive. It will magnetize in positive direction but weakly, so small. But I is proportional to H. As we increase the external magnetic field or magnetizing force, intensity of magnetization also increases proportional to H. Magnetic field inside the medium is more than surrounding, so mu r is more than 1. Third case, intensity of magnetization is positive and very, very large, strongly magnetized. So magnetic field inside the material is very, very large as compared to surrounding. So relative permeability is much, much greater than 1. And when we increase the external magnetic field or magnetizing force, intensity of magnetization increases suddenly and then becomes saturate. Fourth point, susceptibility is I by H. I is negative, so susceptibility is also negative and small also. Temperature independent susceptibility, as we increase the temperature, there will be no change in the susceptibility. Fourth point for paramagnetic material. Susceptibility positive because I is positive but small. And if we see temperature, it decreases with temperature, that is known as Curie law. So susceptibility of paramagnetic material is C by T and it is relation of Curie law. It decreases with increase in temperature. Fourth point for ferromagnetic material. Susceptibility is positive and large because of large value of I. Susceptibility is I by H. Susceptibility decreases with temperature after a certain temperature known as Curie temperature. So after Curie temperature, this material will show paramagnetic nature, right? And this law is known as Curie-Weiss law. After particular temperature, it behaves as a paramagnetic, right? So that is Curie temperature, right? And this law is known as Curie-Weiss law, right? Next topic, hysteresis. To understand hysteresis, first we have to see a process of magnetizing and demagnetization of a ferromagnetic substance. Hysteresis is defined only for ferromagnetic materials. Consider an unmagnetized ferromagnetic material in magnetizing field or force H. So this is a ferromagnetic substance placed in a magnetizing field H created by solenoid. Current is I and current is clockwise. So the value of magnetizing force H is equal to N into I. As we increase the value of current, H will also increase. So external magnetic field acting on the material will also increase. From the previous topic, we know that intensity of magnetization will increase rapidly and become saturate. Right? So this material will work as a magnet now. North pole and south pole, it will magnetize in the direction of magnetic field. Now, in second step, we will decrease the value of current. If we decrease the value of current, H will also decrease, means external magnetic field will also decrease, and finally it become zero. Intensity of magnetization will also decrease, but it will not retrace the path. The intensity of magnetization will decrease, but it will decrease slightly, and when the external magnetic field becomes zero, external magnetic field or force becomes zero, still the material will have some magnetism inside it. That magnetism, that value of I is OB, and it is known as retentivity, or it is known as residual magnetism, or it is known as remaining magnetism inside the material. What is retentivity? What is residual magnetism? It is the magnetism inside the material when we remove external magnetizing force. So the value of I when H is zero is known as retentivity or residual magnetism. Got it? Now the third step. Now we are reversing the direction of current. Initially it was clockwise, so material was magnetized in right direction. Now we are reversing the direction of current, and this material will now start demagnetizing. Why? Because initially it was magnetized in right direction. Now we are applying a magnetic field in left direction. It will start demagnetizing. Material magnetism will start decreasing, and finally its value become equal to zero at some negative value of H. Negative H, why? Because we are applying opposite direction external magnetic field, and H represents that external magnetic field. So the negative value of H at which magnetism in the material become equal to zero, that negative value of H is known as corrosivity. This negative value of H is known as corrosivity, or it is also known as corrosive force. It is the negative value of H required to destroy the residual magnetism present inside the material. Initially we have some magnetism here. As we change the direction of the magnetic field, this magnetism will start decreasing, and finally it become equal to zero. The negative value of H where it become equal to zero is known as corrosivity or corrosive force. So the value of H at which I is zero, that is corrosivity. Fourth point. In fourth point, we are increasing the reverse current. If we increase the reverse current, now this material will start magnetizing in opposite direction. Magnetism in the material already disappear. So this material will magnetize in opposite direction. So I will increase, intensity of magnetization will increase in opposite direction, and finally it get saturate. Right? So material magnetize in opposite direction in fourth step. Right? Next step. Before that, in the last step, material was magnetized in negative direction because of this negative value of external magnetizing field. Right? It gets saturated at this level. Now we have to see the next step. In next step, we are decreasing the value of current to 0. So the negative value of H will start decreasing and become 0. That means we are going in this direction. We are removing the external magnetic field. When we remove the external magnetic field, the material still have some value of magnetism, and this value is known as retentivity, right? This is the remaining magnetism inside the material when external magnetic field is removed, right? So the graph is at this point. This is retentivity or residual magnetism. In next step, we are reversing the direction of current. Now the magnetizing field will act in right direction, and material was magnetized in left direction, negative direction. So the magnetization of the material will start decreasing and the material will demagnetize finally. So material will demagnetize at this point, right? This OF value is also known as corrosivity. The value of H required to destroy the residual magnetism in the material, right? This is also corrosivity. As we increase the direction of the current, magnetic field will increase in right direction, and again the material will magnetize to the initial level, right? This is complete hysteresis loop. Starting from unmagnetized material, we are increasing the direction of external magnetizing field in right direction. So material will also get magnetism, and it is represented by capital I. Capital I is intensity of magnetization, that tells us the magnetic field present inside the material, right? Now if we decrease the value of H and make it 0, if we decrease the external magnetizing field and make it 0, then graph will not follow the same path. Graph will follow different path, and there will be some remaining magnetism in the material when H is 0. So this remaining magnetism is known as retentivity or residual magnetism. This OB is retentivity or residual magnetism. Now we are changing the direction of magnetic field. We are changing the direction of external magnetic field in left direction. Material will demagnetize at this point. At this point, there is no magnetism inside the material because I becomes 0 at this point. This negative value of H is equal to corrosivity. This negative value of H is known as corrosivity or corrosive force. Now if we further increase the negative value of H, the material will magnetize in opposite direction. So now north and south will change, right? It will magnetize in opposite direction, and it is represented by minus I, opposite direction. Again we will decrease the value of H and make it 0. Again we will decrease the value of H and make it 0. There is still some magnetism inside the material, and this magnetism is also known as retentivity. Again we will magnetize the material in right direction, and finally the graph will reach initial point. So this complete process is known as hysteresis process. And what is hysteresis? The lagging of intensity of magnetization behind the magnetizing force is called hysteresis. If we decrease the value of H, I will not follow the same path. So there is a gap between I and H. This gap or this lagging is known as hysteresis, right? And the path A, B, C, D, E, F, A is known as hysteresis loop. Now let us see hysteresis loss. In magnetization and demagnetization process, magnetization and demagnetization process, there will be some loss of energy, right? And that loss is known as hysteresis loss. In cycle of magnetization, some energy is spent in the process and that energy spent is known as hysteresis loss. Area of IH graph is equal to loss of energy per unit volume per cycle in CGS system. In CGS system, the area of IH graph tells us energy loss per unit volume per cycle. In SI system, area of BH graph tells us energy loss per unit volume per cycle. So for CGS system, we have to check area of IH graph. For SI system, we have to check area of BH graph. Now, the size and shape of the loop depends on nature of material. When you change the material, size and shape of the loop will change, right? Next topic is permanent magnets or electromagnets. Permanent magnets are also known as hard magnetic materials. They retain large residual magnetism for long time, and magnetism should not be easily destroyed. Permanent magnets should have both large retentivity and large corrosivity along with high permeability, and the example is steel. If you see this hysteresis graph, for permanent magnet this retentivity should be high so that the magnetism produced by the material is more. Corrosivity should be high. Corrosivity high means it is difficult to demagnetize the material. They are used in galvanometers, voltmeters, emitters, microphones, loudspeakers and telephones. Now next, temporary magnets, or also known as soft magnetic materials. Materials which retain residual magnetism for short time. We need these magnets for short duration of time, not for long time. Temporary magnets should have both low retentivity and low corrosivity and small hysteresis loss. That means hysteresis loss is small, means the area of the loop is small. That means for soft magnetic materials or for temporary magnets, the area of the loop will be small because of small hysteresis loss. Retentivity should be less and corrosivity should be less. Corrosivity less means we can easily demagnetize the material by applying small amount of external magnetic field in opposite direction. These materials used for making electromagnets, cores of transformers. Transformer is there in our syllabus, we will discuss that. Motors and generators. Right? Last point. Comparison between steel and soft iron. For steel, area of hysteresis loop is large and area tells us about the loss. So loss per unit volume per cycle is high for steel, whereas the area of hysteresis loop is less for soft iron. So loss per unit volume per cycle is less for soft iron. Corrosivity for steel is large, means this value is large. Thick graph tells us that it is difficult to demagnetize this material. Corrosivity is less. Thin graph means it is easy to demagnetize this material. Practical value of permeability, intensity of magnetization and susceptibility for steel is less than soft iron. For soft iron, these values are higher. Fourth point, magnetization and demagnetization are difficult for steel. That is why steel is used to form permanent magnets. Magnetization and demagnetization are easy for soft iron. That is why we use soft iron for making temporary magnets or electromagnets. Used for making permanent magnets and loudspeakers, etc. used for making electromagnets, that is temporary magnet, dynamo and transformers, etc. Right?